Hi, welcome to tonight's show. I obviously am not Tom Gibson. I'm much better looking and younger. And I don't know where Tom is. Hopefully he's on his way here. So we're going to kind of wing it until he gets here. Tonight, whether Tom shows up or not, we have a guest, Ammie Nelson, and we're going to talk about some strange stuff. People might not realize it relates to Nye County, but hopefully by the end of the show, you will realize it. It relates to everything we are, we do, and what we may become in the future. Tonight we're going to hold calls for the first half hour because it's going to take a little while to introduce this weird subject we're going to talk about. And that is primarily, we're going to take life and existence and reality from quantum physics on up through the holographic nature of our bodies, of our universe, and into Nye County. And certainly we're going to touch a great deal on health and how conventional medicine and all the rest has done a certain aspect of our bodies up till now. In the future, there may be a whole new world that's being introduced as we speak. So having said that, let me quickly go through the boring subject of what quantum physics, theory, and all that is about. Basically, it deals with things at the atomic and subatomic level. To give you an idea of how small that is, our body is estimated to have anywhere from 10 to 100 trillion cells. Within each cell, there's about 100 trillion atoms. And then below the atoms are the subatomic particles. And those are things like electrons, photons, neutrons, quarks, neutrinos, and things like that. Now, the thing about quantum physics, which came into being roughly 100 and something years ago, and guys like Einstein and Planck and all kinds of German names, Tesla, Bohr, Bohm, etc., all became involved with this weird phenomenon they were trying to understand. And it kind of started from what is light? And Einstein came up with this idea that it's not just a beam, it consists of little particles, which became known as quantum packets of these individual particles called photons. Now, one of the weird things that has developed over centuries of incredible amounts of testing as technology developed, the ability to test theories and mechanical or mathematical formulas, etc., made proof of some of these strange things they were uncovering when they got into quantum physics and mechanics. And one of the weird things is, what is a particle? It is the very smallest part of what things are, what we are, what the buildings are, everything.
The whole universe.
The whole universe, as it turns out. And what they found is something strange, is that we have these things called waves. And of course, you see them in the ocean, you see them all over the place. They are in sound, they're in light, they're in everything. And it turns out that a wave and a particle are the same thing. The only thing that happens is when you observe a wave, it changes from a wave to a particle. And this just befuddled the whole world of physics. Newton came up with basic physics 300 years ago, and many of these things that have been uncovered in quantum physics and mechanics were thrown out the window. It didn't make any sense. What do you have for me on this quantum weirdness?
Well, one thing for sure is Maxwell Clark was considered the grandfather of quantum medicine and quantum research because he proved that the universe was made of atoms, that everything was a frequency. He proved it mathematically. So it changed science altogether. Then along came Tesla, and he worked with Einstein on different studies with these frequencies and all these atoms. And each cell, by the way, has hundreds and hundreds of these frequencies and layers that throughout time can change. There's things that can make them change. So they've had studies and testing that gives us the ability now to use this information, and like our television, our wireless connections to the internet, everything about us is using this information. And our communication is the biggest example of how quantum knowledge has affected our lives. And I know you're going to get into some other topics about exactly, specifically how that's done. And I'll just follow your lead.
Okay. And that is one of the most amazing things, is when you talk about guys like Einstein and all these geniuses, they were as befuddled as a layman would be over some of these subjects, even to their death. Einstein called one of these aspects of quantum research spooky, and he says it couldn't exist. For example, I said when a wave is observed, it collapses into a particle, and only then does it have mass or location or whatever. Up until then, it's a probability. And that just threw Einstein crazy. He says, well, that would infer that everything is more or less an illusion, that we don't exist in a physical sense as we know it until we observe it. And he said that can't be. When just because I don't look at the moon doesn't mean it's there or not there. But yet every test that's been done has verified that this in fact happens at the subatomic level, and if it happens way down there, it should apply all the way through normal big macro physics as we know it.
I think the best cliche that I've heard that kind of covers that whole scenario is, quote, we are energy slowed to visibility. And that's what makes this table look and sound the way it is when you knock on it, makes this book look the way it looks, you and myself, my shirt, everything that we're looking at, everything that is part of our vision, even part of our taste, are these molecules and these energies slowed to visibility. The Earth is, we learn this in biology, the Earth is moving so fast that it appears to be solid. It appears to be not moving under your feet, but in actuality it is. It's a bunch of energy patterns moving so quick that it looks like it's stationary. So yeah, the whole universe is nothing but a mass of energy.
Bingo. And if you get to be a real geek and start looking at things like these string theories and superstrings theories and M theories of quantum physics, it basically says exactly that the best formulas they can come up with that makes sense of everything, both at the quantum level and at the macro normal physics kind of level, is that everything begins with energy. And everything is energy. And we're just in different forms. And one of the laws of energy is, one, you can't create it, and two, you can't destroy it. You can change it, you can transfer it to something else, but it's there forever. And that's going to be an important aspect we're going to get into. If energy's there forever, how about us? Whether you're religious or not, you got to start thinking, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why don't we continue to exist? And we're going to get into things that pretty much, even outside of religion, although it encompasses beliefs of most religions I've ever looked at, that we do exist. There is an afterlife. And both from a physical sense and a spiritual sense, there, to me, is an abundant amount of proof that this isn't it. This is only one little speck in this thing called time, and it continues long after we're here.
You said the magic word, spirit, you know, the spiritual side of us. And a lot of people use that term, and most people don't understand it. But we are spiritual natured. And I think it's been proven scientifically that we are conceived within this anatomy of this energy that we get from both parents. And even cloning has used this information to create life. And we are from energy, and we go back to energy. I think we stay energy, not go back to it, but stay there.
Right, we switch forms.
Right.
Again, we can't create energy, we can't destroy it. Same with the body and the spirit in particular.
Yeah.
We're going to get into things like near-death experiences, holograms, and other strangeness, which really is only strange because most of us have never really thought about it or certainly researched it. I became a fanatic about this stuff maybe 10 years ago. And I was a normal, you know, as they say of Trump, meat-eating, red-blooded American, and never dreamt about Einstein and things like this. But something happened in my life that I'll talk about, and Ammie has a similar thing that happened in her life, which changed the whole direction of our lives. And it led to a whole new world that is incredibly exciting, I think, and
I was brought up with
positive.
it, though. You had to find out about it. I was brought up in a household that was already involved with testing and information, so it wasn't so strange to me.
Yeah, and it really happened to me about age 40. I'm 66 now, and my whole life changed. And we're going to get into a lot more of it in the second segment. So thanks again for looking in. If anyone knows where Tom Gibson is, send him over to the station.